Hello, everybody. Anthony Metivier here from magneticmemorymethod.com. Had the news that Tony Buzan has entered the great memory palace in the sky, so thought I would do a quick live stream to show you some pictures that you never saw before, I'm sure, and just honor the guy. Got the memory book here, got Mind Map Mastery here, and it's just a weird feeling because I was also doing a ton of mind mapping, probably the best mind map I ever did, and that must have been around the time. But in any case, we're all together in spirit mind mapping. If you want to join us and say hello in the chat, that would be awesome. Adonis is here, Jordan is here. Feel free to join the conversation, share any books that you've read or stories you have or courses that you've taken, and just have a little bit of time together to I don't even know what to say, to tell you the truth. I just don't know what to say. So thank you for being with us, and really good to see you. And so this picture here is probably my favorite one that I have, and he liked butterflies, and so he asked to have some butterflies drawn, and that was the one I drew, and he took it with him, which was nice. And so very very dear picture to me. Thanks for being here, Adam and SDFG and Jordan, XMC Hughes. Good to see you. And I'd love to see your mind map. I'll show you some more mind map pictures here in a minute. But this one's my favorite. And it's just not, I don't know, it's not going to be the greatest live stream replay, that's for sure. A little emotional, but anyway, the I guess the place to start is to maybe memorize those dates. So 42 for me is Ran, from the great Kurosawa's Ran. 2019 from the not so great Tipper Gore, although depending on your politics, maybe she was great to you. But I always think of the version of her censoring Frank Zappa and Dee Snider and all those things that were happening when I was a kid. But speaking of when I was a kid, more like in high school, I guess, I remember the library in the high school that I went to in grade 8, and I don't think this is the exact cover, but I remember being astonished by covers of books that were like this, and just being astonished that there was even such a cover on a book like this. I'd never really quite seen anything like this, and this was in the library of the high school where I went to grade 8 and grade 9. And this, I didn't pay it its full due as much as I would have liked, but I did notice it and read it and got some things from it, and that's really one of my first memories. And also this sort of style, I remember seeing them, and they were just so prominent. So that's where I thought we would just have a look at those covers. Adam says, thank God for people who draw public attention to memory issues and memory training. Yes, we got to be thankful indeed. Daniel says, I've only started reading some of his work, but I have multiple books of his. Excellent. SDFG says, I went from a 1.0 GPA to 3.4. That's amazing. Thumbs up to that. Jordan says, I learned a lot from him. Excellent, excellent. That's wonderful. My favorite book cover of them all, I mean, I really like this one, and I'll share with you what I have inside. I think this is just beautiful. But this one's extra special because it's got his signature in it, which is cool. But I think my favorite above all is this one, which is, you know, communicating just how fast your mind can go. So SDFG says he found him in San Diego. Daniel says that's the one that he has. Another cover I found that was kind of cool is Use Your Head. But one of the things that was really genius, I think, about what he did and how he did it is he taught memory not just as a skill, but he really promoted the theory and made the theory easy to learn. And one of the ways that he did it is he had us draw the theory in his training when you went to the actual training and met the guy. And so this is showing how the great memory techniques that have been in play for thousands of years actually work to help, people go from a GPA of 1 or less up to the top if you really, want to make that happen. And this is my drawing of the most important graph in the world. And I would have thought to draw it unless it was in the class assignment. And that kind of activity makes it stick. It makes it stick. And just so you guys maybe don't know this because you're not here, but some people come visit me here and they see the behind the scenes. But every time that I'm live streaming, I always have his card right here that he gave me. And I have the Warrior of the Mind emblem that he gave me. Put it right on my own shirt. Actually, I better put it on, don't you think? Yeah, I think so. And we'll secure it safely so that it doesn't get lost in my room here. SDFG says, mentored college students using the mind map book for years. Used his review peak time, so useful. Excellent. Let's get this so it's pointing in the right direction. Pointing, which direction did neurons point? There. Yeah, that looks good. All right, but anyway, really, really important. And I liked that because for years before that, I've been urging people, draw your memory palaces, draw your memory palaces. But don't just draw your memory palaces, draw the scientific formula for why and how these memory techniques work, right? So this is just a beautiful formula. It's a beautiful graph that shows exactly how it works and why it works. And when you do these things, when you actually put them into your own handwriting and you have them out in the world, they get into your mind better. They get into your, not just into your mind better, in your memory better, they get into your actual practice better. You're more integrated with that beautiful science. Massage is here. Good to see you. Knowledge, how to learn is the most important skill in life. That's my favorite quotation of Tony. Yeah, I got some quotations here I want to share, or at least one major one. Let me grab it now that you're mentioning it. Obviously, the whole notion of being a warrior of the mind is my favorite. Mens sana in corpora sano, he would say. A healthy mind in a healthy body in a healthy mind. Very, very important. And that's another thing to point out about his great contribution here, is that he made it clear that the brain is physical, and the healthier the physical body is, the healthier your mind will be. And the healthy mind can help make the body healthy, right? So it's a perfect circle. It's a system that helps itself grow both ways. No, it's not a one-way thing. Your brain is actually a physical thing. So anyway, I didn't want to go through all my ugliest mind maps, but just to show you practically how deeply this fellow Buzan here did, the impact that he made. This is, one of my just sort of mind mapping without much training in the craft, and then after. So you can see it gets better when you train. And I actually should have dug out one of the uglier ones to show you just how nasty it can be. But just so you know, a lot of my production has picked up since that I trained with him. Massively so. I mean, I won't say every, that would be an exaggeration, but nearly every blog post I do since I've been there, and every live stream starts out looking like this. I was just with the editor of a new book. It was multiple mind maps, some of which I'd actually live streamed to test the material with you all, see how it was resonating with you. Does it belong in a book or not? And I've got like at least 50 weeks of material prepared, and it's just because of following these rules actually is productive. A lot of people think, they want to be free from constraint. They want to be free from having to follow rules and so forth. But the freedom actually comes from following rules. And that's a huge part of the genius of the mind map teaching is the rules, as he said, look to me straight in the eye over dinner. The rules will set you free. And they did set me free to just continue. And I've just been going and going and going with greater power, with greater depth of knowledge, and more importantly, more lust for knowledge, for getting at the core of everything. It's really, really, really important to see how that by unpacking things from your mind in this process, how it is so productive. It's so creative in a way that stimulates creativity upon creativity upon creation upon creation. And a lot of that genius, comes just from these principles that he put together and rules, so to speak. And they're productive in the sense that the rules of a sonnet is productive. And as SDFG is saying, like scales in music, exactly. Like when you know about music, it is astonishing how many songs come out of so few notes. When you look at chess, it's astonishing how many games come from so few pieces on a limited field that's segmented in a very limited way. And if you would just do this with your ideas, you would have an infinity of them that would never end. So Matthew says, is it a bad habit to use digital maps instead of traditional? That's not a question for me to answer, and not really the topic today, but thank you for the question. Why don't we have a dedicated stream about that in the future? But I really appreciate it. But I think the more important point is to actively engage with ideas and to know what it was that he said. And so I think that one of the best books you could ever invest in is Mind Map Mastery. It's the most latest. It condenses, the years of teaching it into a single book. And it's 2018, right? And so it's as recent as it's going to get. I don't know what plans for the future may be with the legacy and what he was doing with the brain trust and all that stuff. I really don't know. But this is not going to date. This is evergreen stuff, but it's also the most recent. And so I would highly recommend you get Mind Map Mastery. And the thing in Mind Map Mastery is he also has some thoughts in there about future technology. And you may have heard me talk before. I was trying to intro him through Twitter with Jaron Lanier, but Jaron Lanier doesn't actually have Twitter, so I wasn't very successful. Or at least if he does, I didn't find it. And he apparently doesn't. He talks about how he doesn't do any of that stuff. But I thought they would really get along well together with some of the ideas that Buzan is talking about in Mind Map Mastery. But this mind map is in particular precious to me because one of the things that he did during the training was, and it was a very good thing to do, was have us, what are we going to do now that we know all of this stuff that he teaches? And so I mind mapped out the vision for my own work here, and it's so far so good. I mean, this is exactly what I've been doing, and I didn't really know that there would be technology that would open up as it did, but that's not reflected here. But I jumped in and added a new thing mentally, but I still continue to refer to this often, to stick with the plan, and it was great. So thank you if you're joining us. Good to see you. And if you want to leave any comment of any kind, feel free to do so. It is one of those things where, it feels like a loss, but at the same time, it is just the beginning of what we all can do for others when we know these skills. We can all, he had in the last year started a blog, and he was blogging. We can all start a blog and blog. When I interviewed him on the Magnetic Mary Method podcast, he said, I asked him, what can people do? And he said, they can do what you're doing. Get a podcast. Get the message out there. Even if you've just had this much progress, that's enough for you to already begin to teach, to help free others. And the thing is, when you teach others, you free yourself further. So that's a very, very important thing to know. And he taught so freely and generously, and what a massive contribution it was, with everything from the books to the World Memory Championships to the Brain Trust to all kinds of individual interactions. Unbelievable. Really astonishing and unbelievable. So another favorite pick of mine, this is him speed reading through an article that I wrote that I don't know if it ever showed up in Synapsia or not, actually, but he was planning to put it into Synapsia, which is very, very nice. And that's a fun pick. And then, of course, I like this one. And you can see some mind maps in the background there and other representations of the most important graph in the world. This one's quite fun, but I think that one is another fun one. And as soon as I left there, I had to go to Beijing, China, and the first thing that we see after leaving Henley-on-Thames in the UK, get to China, the first thing is this entire shelf. This is all Tony Buzan books. Every single one of them is Tony Buzan books in Mandarin, in the mind training games section. It was unbelievable to see. It was very, very beautiful to see that. And let's catch in with the chat here. Message says, agreed, I want to share my experience with memory methods and mind maps so other people may develop their own abilities to learn, and I'm grateful to you as well, Anthony, for your awesome job. Well, I'm grateful to you, and thank you for sharing that. Maricella is here. Good to see you, Maricella. Always good to see you. Yeah, I mean, Allie, who edits the videos, I just asked her to start putting together, I'd have to look at the date. I didn't memorize the date, but it was Thursday, I believe. I just asked her, could you put the subtitles on a video of the interview with Tony Buzan for YouTube, just like a podcast video version of the interview. I don't know why he was on my mind, but he was. I didn't know that he had fallen and was in this situation. And then I just, like I said, I had this. I'm not drawing any kind of connection or anything in a fantastical sense, but it was just odd that one of the best mind maps I ever did emerged while this was going on, and wake up this morning to the news, and so it was just kind of interesting timing. But very glad to see you all. Don't really have much more to say. I just wanted to hop on and give my condolences and share a couple of memories. And good to see you here, Remy. And thanks for the kind words, SDFG. That is indeed a very stylish scarf. He certainly had a lot of panache, that's for sure. Well, what I would suggest that you all do is you make sure to get a book for sure from the Buzan catalog. I recommend Mind Map Mastery, not for the first time. Recommended it many, many times before. And, anything will do, because the material that he talked about is evergreen. It won't get old or dated, even if some of the book covers that we looked at before, they look kind of dated, but they still look cool. But we have a problem in human psychology, which is that we often forget the value of things, or we don't think that they're valuable because they're dated and they're old, and we're always looking for new. And when it comes to this kind of knowledge, this kind of training, this is not going to date. Even if the English in the future that it was written in feels old and old school and old-fashioned, it's hard for us to imagine that contemporary English that we use now would ever sound dated. But I doubt Shakespeare thought that his language was going to sound dated to us, but it's still great stuff, right? And one of the problems that we face is that we have so much rich wealth of writing from the memory tradition that is impenetrable in many ways. But if we can just have the discipline and the wherewithal to sit down and read it, we can get that knowledge back, because the knowledge is still good. It's still good. And we gotta not always be so seduced by the new. But this is very new, Mind Map Mastery. So get something, whatever it is, read it and apply it, because Buzan was right. The rules will set you free. The rules will set you free. But you have to know them. You have to apply them. You have to practice applying them. And you have no idea how much you will benefit if you just continue to apply them, because there's compound interest in practice. And one of the great things that, whether you competed or not, one of the great things that Buzan did with this project was instilling symbolically and practically at an international level the very real truth that consistent practice changes everything if you just do it, and if you do it consistently. So thanks for being here, James. Thanks, Remy. I'm out of here, but I just wanted to say these things. So we'll be back with another live stream and more videos very soon, to be sure. Keep good care of yourselves. Use your head. Till we see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.